Since the start of the year, I've been making my way through the original Mobile Suit Gundam series, which released in 1979 for the very first time. So today, I want to give my thoughts on it and see how well it holds up in the year 2025. But before I dive into my thoughts, I want to hear from you guys, so head on down to the comment section below. What do you think of the original Mobile Suit Gundam series, the one that started it all? Were you impressed by it watching it for the very first time? Do you think it doesn't hold up nowadays? Let me know all that down in the comment section below. And while you're there, please do leave a like on this video and subscribe if you're a fan of Mecha anime content and want to see plenty more videos like this in the future. Like I said, I had already seen the original movie trilogy, so I went into this series knowing it. Like, I knew the story, I knew all the major beats and all that kind of stuff, and there's really not a whole lot of major differences between the series and the movie. I think, like, the third movie kind of changes up the finale, really, of the series just a little bit, but for the most part, it is generally the same structure, and it follows all those same major beats. And right off the bat, I can comfortably say that Mobile Suit Gundam, it holds up in 2025. You know, this series came out 46 years ago at this point, and it absolutely holds up in most aspects. Now, I'll get my negative, I guess, out of the way first of all, and that is that yes, the animation has aged. Even back in 1979, it still wasn't the greatest animation at the time just because of limited budgets. So of course, 46 years later, you know, it doesn't look overly great. There's a lot of inconsistencies in animation, but I think just the fact that this series has managed to stand the test of time is really a testament to the storytelling, because the storytelling absolutely overcomes the potential obstacles from the animation. And regardless of how much you like this series in comparison to the other Gundam series, you've got to give a massive amount of respect for it, because it set up the franchise. If this didn't exist, the rest of this 46-year running franchise would not have existed. And that's a testament to the quality, because let's face it, if this was bad, you would not have 46 years, a constant 46 years, mind you. Like, Gundam's never really stopped for significant amounts of time. You could say, like, in the 90s between Victory and G Gundam, there was a little bit of a lull, and there's been lulls here and there, but it's not had, like, a large gap, if you will, in its resume. So for 46 years, this franchise has run strong. And it all started, of course, with this series. Like I said, if this wasn't good, it would not have continued on, because people would have looked at it and said, that's not good, and they would have moved on from it, and you wouldn't have seen it turn into a massive franchise. People connected with this series, they connected with its ideas, they connected with its characters, its general story, enough so that we got Zeta Gundam, we got Double Zeta Gundam, we proceeded to get more Universal Century stuff, then we got spin-offs, we got alternate universe stuff, and now we're 46 years strong in this franchise, and it all started with Mobile Suit Gundam back in 1979. And because this was the start of the franchise, it also introduced all of the core elements of storytelling and world building that we've come to expect from Gundam. You've got the Earth versus space conflict, problems of one generation kind of trickling down and having to be fixed by the next generation, and thus you get, you know, child soldiers, you get, you know, younger characters at war where they really shouldn't be, for many reasons, incompetency within governments, incompetency within the top brass, all that kind of stuff, and then you just get like a nuanced perspective of good and evil and war. And that's what's made Gundam always so compelling, is that yes, it can probably be enjoyed by younger audiences to a degree for the robot action and stuff, but there's so much to chew at. This is one of those series that is mature but doesn't kind of come across too mature. Like, there's some series and movies and stories out there that they try to be mature, and it's so obvious because they almost become edgy in a way, even if they're not trying to be. Gundam, this original series anyway, has just a mature sensibility to it, but it never comes across as edgy or try hard. It's just got ideas that resonate and I guess cut through for a more mature audience and an older audience. And you know, I'm not saying I'm an old person by any means, but I like quality storytelling. I like a kind of mature perspective on things, and Gundam absolutely delivers that. It is probably the main reason why I love this franchise, because it just provides something that not a whole lot of other franchises or stories do. And most of the themes and ideas in Gundam only really work when you have a fantastic group of characters, and Mobile Suit Gundam, it delivers that. You have a great group of characters here. Of course, you have the icons like Amuro Ray, Shah Raznable, but even going to, you know, some of, not necessarily the smaller characters, but the ones that are only around in the series for like 5 episodes or so. They're not in all the series, but they kind of come in. they definitely leave an impression on you and they are memorable characters. Rambaral, for example, Slugger Law, both of those characters I feel like are pretty iconic within Gundam, and they're not really in the series all that much. Even someone like Charlie Bull, who is actually only in this series for like 2 episodes. All these kind of characters, they show up for just a little bit of time, but they leave an impression. They kind of bring a different perspective into the story, into the world, and therefore it just makes them memorable. Like, Rambaral is probably one of my favourite characters in this series, and he's only there for, I want to say, like 7 or 8 episodes of the 43 episode run. But like I said, he makes an impression. He's an iconic Gundam character, like one of the most iconic really in the original Gundam series, even with such a limited screen time, because he brings a perspective, he brings ideas, he feels like a nuanced part of the story and the world, and that's the case for pretty much every character. Everyone here provides something to the series, brings value, and that's just a great sign of good writing, when you can bring in a character for like 2 episodes and they feel like they are there with a purpose. But of course, with the likes of Amuro and Char, these are like icons within Gundam. Like, these are the 2 original main characters, and I want to say they've maybe not been beaten. Like, in terms of quality of character journeys and perspectives on the world and what they represent and ideas, like, it's truly unbeaten. This is quality character writing, where Amuro Ray starts out as like, you know, a younger kid. He's got like a sense of immaturity to him, but there's such a growth that you see over time that feels natural. A lot of people will kind of paint him as whiny early on and stuff, and it's the same case with Shinji and Evangelion, but it's realistically written characters, where if you're a 15-year-old kid, which I think Amuro is in this series, thrown into war, given, you know, all this pressure to perform well, to, you know, essentially protect like a group of people at his age, that's a lot. It's a lot of pressure, and you really feel it weighing down on him. But you see such a progression of maturity within the character. And, you know, when I talked about the original trilogy and I talked about the first movie, one of my favorite moments from that is, again, it's one of my favorite moments in the series, is when he's with his mother and he's saying goodbye to her, but instead of hugging her, he salutes her. And it's kind of this sign of this shift in character, and she doesn't recognize her child anymore, because he's changed. He's been changed by surroundings and just the state that he's been put into. And again, that's just fantastic character writing, where the characters react to their surroundings, like everything plays into the character. And then we've got our main antagonist in Char, who is like the face of Gundam. He is probably the most iconic, beloved, well-known character within the franchise, and there's an argument to be made that he is the greatest character in Gundam, and possibly one of the greatest anime characters, because he's so interesting to watch. He's also so fun to watch, and he's never evil, truly. Like, it's just a matter of perspective, and he's one of those characters that really represents this idea that things are nuanced in war. Good is not necessarily good, evil is not necessarily evil. There's, you know, good and bad people on both sides. There's people that, you know, have their perspectives, but also have, you know, their reasons for fighting, their objectives that they're trying to pursue. And that's what Gundam does so well, is the way that it writes all that stuff, the way it writes its characters, its conflicts. It's such a well-written series that has stood the test of time in terms of storytelling and in terms of character, and Char literally created the whole concept of a Char clone. This one character in Gundam created a trope that transcended Gundam, transcended the franchise, it transcended the genre, I'd even say transcended the medium. There's probably Char clones within movies and TV shows, and probably books as well. Like, he inspired like a whole wave of like characters based around this character, and that's an impressive feat, and it usually shows that this character has connected with people in many ways. So yeah, like, usually if there is a trope or a certain character archetype that is created out of a character, that's usually a good sign that that is a very good character. Above all else though, what I love the most about this series is that it feels like it's created by someone with a perspective on the world. And what I mean by that is, nowadays especially, you get a lot of stuff that's kind of just churned out, where it's made with the intention of being entertaining and exciting, and it's made with the audience in mind as opposed to the artistic perspective in mind. You know, sometimes things are made for an audience without really thinking about why are we making this. And Gundam's one of those cases where you can tell this was made by someone. You can tell that this was made by someone with a perspective on the world, people, war, you know, politics, all this kind of stuff. Like, it's someone that had a vision. I feel like that's sometimes lost in art, and I feel like whenever art does manage to portray that, that's when something is truly art. When that is something where it's not a product, it's not made to kind of appease a set of people. It's made with a very human perspective. And Yoshiyuki Tomino, he absolutely delivered that with Gundam. You can tell that this man had ideas and thought of things. There's obviously going to be comparisons to Star Wars. There's a lot of things in this series that are similar to that. But the way I see it is both George Lucas and Yoshiyuki Tomino weren't inspired by each other, they were just inspired by the same things. And those things aren't other media franchises, those are things like history. That to me is the best form of art, where inspiration is drawn by experience as opposed to what I watched and what I enjoyed watching. Again, there's nothing wrong with taking inspiration from other franchises, from other stories. That's kind of just human nature. You see something, you connect with something, you want to make something like that. That's fair enough. But I think the best kind of stories come where it comes from the human heart. It comes from, this is how I grew up. This is how I perceived the world. This is what I saw happening in real life, and that sparked a thought in me. Those are the best kinds of art, and Gundam is that. Now, a lot of this retrospective has been very introspective, I guess you could say, where I've looked at it more like kind of on a philosophical level in terms of Gundam, but it also delivers entertainment. This is a fun series to watch. It's got fun characters. It has its goofy moments, and those bits kind of fit in and work, and they had a nice bit of levity where, yeah, you can dive into the serious nature of war, but then you can have a bunch of kids aboard a ship kind of messing around, and it doesn't feel out of place. It feels like it just adds this sense of community, of a feeling of family and friendliness and all this kind of stuff. In many ways, Gundam has feelings of a warm hug, but then it also kind of tears your heart out with dramatic moments and moments that, yeah, they stir up emotion in you. So it's got a whole spectrum of things you would want in storytelling, where you could laugh, you could cry, you could be excited, you could be, downtrodden by things. It just has everything you would want. And like I said, the only issue, if you even want to call it that, is that the animation's aged, and even for the time, it wasn't the greatest thing ever. But I think the fact that this has transcended animation, in terms of the quality of it, it's a great sign. The storytelling ultimately trumps all, and it is absolutely done to perfection within Mobile Suit Gundam. So with all that in mind, I'm going to give Mobile Suit Gundam an A. But those were my thoughts on Mobile Suit Gundam after watching it for the very first time in 2025. Before I get out of here, please do leave a like on this video and subscribe if you are a fan of Mecha anime content and want to see plenty more videos like this in the future. Also, like I said earlier, head on down to the comment section below. Let me know your thoughts on the original Mobile Suit Gundam series, or if you've just seen the movie trilogy, let me know your thoughts on that as well. I will have some other videos coming in the near future surrounding this series, Mobile Suit tier list, character tier list, all that kind of stuff. So also let me know down in the comments section below your favourite character in the series and your favourite mobile suit design. Thank you once again for tuning into Mecha Chat today. I'll see you guys next time.